A young man named Jing Hao buys stacks of broken smartphones from a warehouse that is about to be cleared out. The phones once belonged to an import-export businessman who was sent to prison, and all of his goods were seized after he failed to pay warehouse rent for 2 years. With years of experience as a technician, Jing Hao believes the devices that failed quality control can still be saved. He plans to repair them and resell them, hoping to earn enough money to pay for his little sister's surgery. But just 2 weeks later, everything changes. The government announces a new trade policy that bans the sale of refurbished phones. Any devices already circulating in the market will be confiscated. Just like that, his business is wiped out before it even begins. Instead of giving up, Jing Hao comes up with a new idea. He goes to the headquarters of Shining Electronic, the manufacturer of the phones, and proposes selling them the usable components he can recover. He presents a supply chain concept, explaining how refurbished parts could be sold to international markets. Unfortunately, the manager, Li Ping, refuses to take him seriously. He does not believe a 20-year-old technician could possibly produce components that meet the standards of a major company. So Jing Hao goes back home and starts dismantling the phones one by one in a systematic way. He inspects and restores every part, from the LCD screens and motherboards to the RAM, cameras, and even tiny components like capacitors and resistors. He even writes his own disassembly manual to standardize the process. When the parts are finally tested, they pass quality control. Confident, Jing Hao returns to Li Ping and reminds him of their agreement. If the components passed inspection, the company would buy them. But Li Ping goes back on his word. He dismisses Jing Hao, belittles him again, and tells him to stop causing trouble. Frustrated, Jing Hao asks whether the real issue is simply his age. Unbeknownst to him, those words are overheard by Fang Zai, the CEO of Shining Electronic, who happens to be nearby. Seizing the moment, Jing Hao asks Fang Zai for just 10 minutes to present his idea. But Fang Zai is in a hurry. He has a train to catch and will not be back for another month. And in that instant, everything is on the line. With only 30 minutes before the train departs, Jing Hao races against time. He speeds through traffic on his scooter, taking shortcuts toward the station until he crashes. Injured but determined, he abandons the damaged scooter and runs. While crossing the street recklessly, he is hit by a car. Still, he keeps going. Somehow, he makes it to the station just in time and asks again for 10 minutes. After listening to the presentation, Fang Zai tells him that he will never be able to salvage every component from those phones. Jing Hao responds with a challenge. If he can do it, will the company buy them? Fang Zai agrees, but under strict conditions. There will be no advance payment. Jing Hao must handle the dismantling on his own. The company will not provide a factory or workers. If the components fail quality control, he will not receive a single cent, no matter how much money he invests. When he is ready, he is told to contact Li Ping. It is a deal filled with risk. If he succeeds, he could become a millionaire. If he fails, he will lose everything. This is the gamble that changes his life. This is nice view. After sealing the verbal agreement, the story shifts back to reveal the real reason behind Jing Hao's relentless determination. Jing Hao lives a very difficult life. The only family he has left is his 6-year-old little sister, Jing Tong. They share a small rented apartment, just the two of them. Every day he takes care of her, gets her ready for school, and makes sure she is safe before heading off to handle his own responsibilities. One day, after dropping her off, Jing Hao visits the specialist who has been treating her condition. Jing Tong was born with a heart defect. Because of it, she often struggles to breathe, especially when the air pressure drops. It is a hereditary illness. Years ago, when Jing Tong was still very young, their mother was hospitalized with the same disease and eventually passed away. At that time, Jing Hao was still a teenager. Overnight, he became the head of the family. Their father chose to leave, so everything fell on his shoulders. From then on, he lived for one purpose, protecting his little sister. The doctor explains that Jing Tong's condition could worsen once she turns 8. Surgery is strongly recommended, and the sooner the better. Of course, Jing Hao wants the operation for her, but the cost is overwhelming. He makes a living repairing phones, and the income is barely enough to cover daily expenses. Still, he has years of experience fixing electronics. It is the only skill he truly has. He even helps repair televisions at a nearby nursing home to earn a little extra. The nursing home is managed by Mr. Liang and his wife. They know Jing Hao well and understand how hard he works. After picking up Jing Tong from school one afternoon, Jing Hao finds a notice demanding payment for their rent. He is already 1 month behind. Back in the present, after securing the risky agreement at the train station, Jing Hao begins preparing for the project. To keep the factory running, he needs money during the day. He asks Mr. Liang to help supervise the factory operations. At first, Mr. Liang advises him to play it safe instead of risking everything. But when he hears that the money is for Jing Tong's surgery, he changes his mind and agrees to help. If the project succeeds, Jing Hao could earn 800,000 won within 4 months. Meanwhile, his financial situation keeps getting worse. Because he cannot repay his debts, the equipment from his repair shop is seized. Even his only motorcycle has to be sold for extra cash. Desperate for income, Jing Hao turns to an old friend named Ma Yue and asks for a job. After much pleading, Ma Yue finally gives him work as a window cleaner on a skyscraper. On another day, Jing Hao and Mr. Liang go out looking for a place to build their factory. What they find is nothing more than a dusty old shipping container. Still, Jing Hao agrees to rent it for 3,000 won a month. Together, they clean it up and slowly turn it into a workable space. They set production targets, move the raw materials from storage, and prepare everything they can. The only thing missing now is workers. In a country where so many people are searching for jobs, you would think finding employees would be easy. But according to the labor agent, no one wants to work for low pay, especially when the bonus only comes after the project is finished. The only ones willing are people who struggle to find work anywhere else. So the agent recommends a few candidates. The first is Wang Chunai. She used to work in an electronics factory, but after an accident she lost part of her hearing. Now she survives on odd jobs. When Jing Hao trains her, he often has to raise his voice just so she can follow the instructions. Next is Zhang Longhao. He was once a manager, but after assaulting someone, he ended up in prison. He is a bit eccentric, but with patience, he proves he can learn the job. Then there is Heng Zi, a young man who practically lived in an internet cafe, spending his days gaming. Now he wants to change his life because he plans to get married. He asks Jing Hao to also hire his friend, Liu Kai. Unlike Heng Zi, who works hard to build a future, Liu Kai's motivation is much simpler. He just wants to pay off his gaming bills. During training, Heng Zi listens carefully while Liu Kai sometimes dozes off. Then something unexpected happens. Mr. Liang brings several elderly residents from the nursing home who say they want to help. When they hear that Jing Hao is building a factory, they offer their experience. Even though they are old, they still have valuable skills. One of them used to repair watches for a living, and just like that, Niceview Electronics begins operating with this unlikely team. To keep the factory running, Jing Hao continues working during the day as a skyscraper window cleaner. It is dangerous work where one mistake could cost him his life, but he needs the extra money to survive. Meanwhile, Jing Tong's condition has not improved. She still takes the same medicine every single day. The only thing Jing Hao can do is comfort her and remind her that as long as they work hard, nothing is impossible. One afternoon at the factory, a man shows up with an offer. He suggests buying the phone so he can extract the metal from the components and resell it. Jing Hao immediately refuses. It is illegal and he will not risk everything for quick money. The man leaves empty-handed. Not long after, Liu Kai confronts Jing Hao angrily because his pay has been reduced. The reason is simple. He worked fewer hours than the previous month and even skipped 5 days without notice. Instead of taking responsibility, he complains about the hot factory, the lack of air conditioning, and the tough conditions. In the end, he quits. Weeks later, Heng Zi finally marries the woman he loves. All the factory workers attend the wedding to celebrate with him. Jing Hao is even asked to give a speech, a sign of how much the team respects him. At the reception, Liu Kai shows up as well. Sitting at the table, he apologizes for his past behavior and asks for another chance to work at the factory. Jing Hao accepts him back without hesitation. But the happiness does not last long. When Jing Hao and Jing Tong return home from the wedding, they find that the landlord has changed the locks. 3 months of unpaid rent must be settled before they can even retrieve their belongings. And even then, they will have to move out. With nowhere to go, Jing Hao asks Mr. Liang's wife if Jing Tong can stay the night at the nursing home. Desperate for money, he calls Ji Yong to demand repayment of an old debt. When Ji Yong does not answer, Jing Hao tracks him down. He cannot find him at work, so he goes to the gambling den where Ji Yong usually spends his time. There, he angrily demands his money back. The amount Ji Yong hands over is nowhere near enough. Jing Hao feels betrayed. Ji Yong once claimed he needed the loan because his mother was sick, but in reality he used it for gambling. Jing Hao hates having to chase after a friend for money, but he has no choice. Since they cannot keep staying at the nursing home, Jing Hao and Jing Tong move into the factory. He uses stacked boxes to create a small makeshift sleeping area. It is painful to watch his sick little sister sleep in a workspace instead of a proper bed. This is the hardest test of his life, but because of Jing Tong, he cannot give up. She is the reason he keeps going, even when everything feels impossible. From then on, Jing Hao pushes himself even harder. During the day, he continues working as a skyscraper window cleaner. At night, he stays up late to catch up on production, surviving on very little sleep. One night, during a short break, Jing Tong wakes him because she hears noise outside. Jing Hao rushes out and discovers the same young men who had tried to steal his used phones before. They attempt to escape, but Jing Hao refuses to let them take what he worked so hard for. A chaotic chase follows, and at one point he even clings to the door of a speeding truck. The pursuit ends badly. Jing Hao breaks his finger. Terrified for her brother, Jing Tong runs after him wearing only one sandal. As if their struggles were not enough, another disaster hits. Jing Hao is hospitalized to treat his injured hand. The thieves are eventually caught by the police, and fortunately the stolen goods are recovered. People question why he would risk his life for a pile of old phones. To them, it seems foolish and not worth it. But they do not understand that those broken phones are his only chance to save his sister's life. On another day, disaster strikes again. While working as a window cleaner, Jing Hao accidentally drops a piece of equipment. Ma Yue immediately scolds him. When Jing Hao removes his gloves, Ma Yue sees the condition of his injured hand and becomes even angrier. The rules are clear. No one is allowed to work while sick or injured. Because of that, Jing Hao is fired on the spot and paid only for the days he worked. Now he has lost his daytime income. Without that money, he has no way to cover the factory rent. Soon enough, the landlord calls him in. He is already 2 months behind on payments. Jing Hao asks for more time, explaining his situation, but the landlord does not care. Pay the debt or leave. Those are the only options. As if things could not get worse, one stormy night Jing Hao stands in the pouring rain and stops Li Ping's car. He desperately asks to borrow 100,000 yuan, explaining that he is truly out of options. Li Ping refuses. He reminds Jing Hao that Fang Zai respected his determination. If Fang Zai could see him begging like this, would that respect still remain? The words sting, but Jing Hao realizes there is truth in them. If he wants to finish what he started, he has to rely on himself. That same night, in the middle of the storm, he goes to pick up Jing Tong from school. The weather makes it impossible to return to the factory, so the school guard allows them to stay overnight. Sitting there, soaked and exhausted, Jing Hao feels completely lost. All he can think about is the promise he made to his mother before she passed away, that he would protect Jing Tong no matter what. The next morning brings another blow. When he returns to the factory, he finds that the storm has caused the roof over the stored phones to collapse. On top of that, the landowner informs him that he has 3 days to clear out because the space has been rented to someone else. It feels like everything he built is falling apart. When his team arrives, Jing Hao has no choice but to share the bad news. The shipment is only 2 weeks away, yet he cannot even pay their wages. But instead of walking away, his workers surprise him. They offer to receive their pay after the project is completed. They suggest taking the work home. Some even volunteer to bring in friends to help meet the deadline. They tell Jing Hao he does not have to carry this burden alone because they are part of this factory too. For the first time in a long while, the weight on Jing Hao's shoulders begins to lift. With the help of Heng Zi's wife, who operates heavy machinery, they quickly move the remaining phones and evacuate the factory. They pack everything up and leave the place where their journey first began. It is painful, but it is another test they must endure. Soon production continues from their own homes. Jing Hao and Jing Tong temporarily live and work at the nursing home. Step by step, the project moves forward as the delivery date approaches. One night, Jing Tong wakes up and quietly thanks her brother for working so hard to take care of her. The delivery day finally arrives. All the components they worked so hard to dismantle and restore are sent off for quality testing. Then comes the hardest part: waiting. Time passes, and soon Jing Hao and his team are called to the headquarters of Shining Electronic to meet Fang Zai. Standing in front of a top-level businessman like him, they cannot help but feel nervous. Their hearts race as they wonder whether their components pass the test. Jing Hao is asked to sit down. First, Fang Zai acknowledges his determination and praises him for completing the order on time. Then comes the result. The components have passed quality control with an 87% rating, but the good news does not stop there.
是87%。
Fang Zai decides to continue working with Jing Hao. He offers a 2-year contract worth 5,000 yuan. And this time, there will be an advance payment before the project even begins. All the risks, the sleepless nights, the sacrifices, the tears and exhaustion suddenly feel worth it. They leave the office overwhelmed with relief and joy. Jing Hao goes to pick up Jing Tong. There are no grand speeches, no dramatic words, just quiet smiles and tears of relief. 1 year later, Jing Tong successfully undergoes surgery. She grows up healthy and strong. 6 years later, Jing Hao stands before the public as the CEO of Nice View Electronic, a subsidiary of Shining Electronic led by Fang Zai. He is introduced as the youngest CEO in the company's history. So the moral of the story is sometimes the only thing keeping someone alive is a brother who refuses to give up, even when life keeps breaking him.